Hey, this ThinkerThunker, and this dark, mysterious figure here on the right is the infamous Cripple-foot, and you'll see why in a second. I actually have some footage of this thing hobbling around, and it was filmed and photographed by a man by the name of Ivan Marx up in like Bossburg, Washington, I believe, back in 1969. So this thing has been around with us for a long time. It has been featured on TV shows and major news and websites, and for a lot of people, this is the real deal. Now, when I first saw it in about the first fraction of an instant, I was like, yeah, that's a dude in a monkey suit, whatever, case closed. But a lot of people would disagree with me and say that is just your opinion. Now, I'm sketching this thing for you to prove a point, which is, I've got like 50 years experience of studying human proportions and human anatomy. So when that thing in my brain says that's a dude in a monkey suit, or it's not a dude in a monkey suit, there's 50 years experience behind that opinion. But the fact is, we all have an opinion about this figure. And opinion is not fact. It is not proof. The only thing that matters is what can we prove. So for the first time in 55 years, we are going to bring a little science into this and know once and for all whether this thing is a human or something else. Let's go check it out. Now, here is another image of Cripple-foot, and we can see its ridiculous ears, and it also appears to have its junk, as in it's anatomically correct. But this is a terrible image to try to measure because, look, we can't see all the way down to its ankles, so we don't know how long its shin is. And then it's kind of bent and crouched over, so I don't get a good, clean look at anything except its arms, and that is not enough. And here is some actual footage of Cripple-foot hobbling along. It was posted on my Team ThinkerThunker Facebook group by Bernadette BB. Thank you so much, Bernadette. I can't play the clip because I don't want to get any kind of strike from YouTube, so I'm just kind of skimming along to let you see. Now, one of the first steps I do for measuring is I need to know where all the major body joints are. So I posed this standard human 3D skeleton as closely as I could to what Cripple-foot is doing. Now, you unrealistic skeptics, I'm just moving this over for a quick reference. It's not going to be perfect, but it does not have to be. I just wanted you to see that this figure, this skeleton, and Cripple-foot line up all but perfectly. That alone should tell you all you need to know. All right, it is time to do this. No more opinions, no more guessing. We're going to bring a little science into this. We're going to do a little measuring, a little comparison, and we're going to see what Cripple-foot is. And we're going to start off with the skeleton. I posed for it, again, just so I could get a rough idea where its major body joints are. And next, I measured 5 different measurements based on those body joints. And we can see that the torso goes from the tip of the tailbone area up to the base of the neck. And now I'm going to pull all 5 of these measurements into what I call a proportional DNA chart, or a pDNA chart, just so that we can see how all these measurements relate to each other. And looking at this, we can now see that whatever Cripple-foot is, it has a torso and arms essentially the exact same length. And if I back up a little, which I have to get the legs in, we can see that its legs are an astounding 30% longer than its torso and arms. And just looking at the figure, you don't really see that, again, until you pull them all over into a pDNA chart. Now, time for the big comparison. I've brought in Patty from the Patterson Bigfoot film, and you can see these 2 red bars here where I've scaled them to roughly the same height. Now, I'll get rid of that. And do you see it? Can you see where these are, in fact, the exact same species? Or does there appear to be a difference? Here, let me do this. Let me drop in Patty's pDNA chart. Can you tell now? Here, let me do this. Let me pull Patty's chart over here beside Cripple-foot. I'll zoom in some And get them close. There we go. All right. Look at column 1. Would you say Cripple-foot and Patty's torso are the same length? Here, let's do that. Do they look to be about the same length? No. They are profoundly different, which is pretty incredible, especially again, since I've scaled them to roughly the same height. Now let's look at their arm length. Are their arm lengths the same? No. Patty's arm length is a great deal longer than Cripplefoot. Now let's look at their legs. Oh, Cripplefoot has finally won on something. Its legs are a good deal longer than Patty's. So now we can see the profound differences in these two different species. And now for you naysaying, skeptical nitpickers who are all in a tizzy, all foamed up because you're worried about me maybe being in half an inch or an inch off on measurements here or there, let's do this. I am going to take a copy of Patty's torso bar, but before I do, you use your own eyes here. Look, I started measuring from around the base of Patty's neck in this area down to the tip of her tailbone. And look, I could have even come down a little further, which would only help my case. And now I'm going to bring that torso bar over next to Cripplefoot. Let me straighten it up a little, just so that we can compare them. Now, there are some of you, a few, who still like to complain and say, ThinkerThunker, his measurements are way off. This is aimed at you sticklers. Look at the green bar and the blue bar. Do you see a difference? Do you think high precision measurements are necessary to see the difference in these two torso bars? No, it's ridiculous. It's insulting to even suggest that. There is 27% difference. If you can't see or recognize 27% difference in length, man, I don't know. You've got some sort of rare stigmatism. But the fact of the matter is, oh, here, let me do this. If you want super high precision, I can literally measure the number of pixels. Cripplefoot's is, here, let's get this close. Cripplefoot's is 273.9 pixels from this point to this point. Now I'm going to measure Patty's torso bar. 375.1 pixels. So if you want high precision, I can do it. I use these graphical measurement bars because it's just a lot easier for people to see and grasp these colorful bar charts than it is columns full of numbers, columns full of measurements. But here's bottom line to all of this. If Patty's torso was only, say, about that much longer than our torsos, well, we wouldn't be having this conversation then. I wouldn't have made this video. I wouldn't have wasted a year of my life writing the book Solved if there was only just small differences in our proportions. But that's not the case at all. There are astounding differences in our proportions from head to toe. Now, the thing is, science should have spotted this and pointed this out to us all half a century ago, but they didn't. You have to ask yourself why. But now you have seen proof that high precision measurement is not needed here. All right, here we go. Final comparison. Let's bring in red team. Let me get zoomed in on this. These red bars on the left represent the body proportions of every normal, typical adult human on the planet. We all have a torso and arms, essentially the same relative length, with legs an astounding 30% longer. So let's do this. Let's compare red team to Patty. Are the torsos the same? No. Are the arm lengths the same? No, they're not. Not at all. Are the leg lengths the same? No. So let's get rid of those bars. And now let's compare red team to Cripple-foot. Let's come across here. Are their torsos the same? Why, yes, they're practically the same. Are their arm lengths the same? Why, yes, they're practically the same. Are their leg lengths the same? Why, yes, they're practically identical. So now we know Cripple-foot here, that has been featured on numerous TV shows and news websites, was just a guy in a monkey suit. All right, I thought it would be interesting to go out on this. I used artificial intelligence to create this image over here on the right. And so just use your common sense. What do your eyes tell you? Look, compare the body widths, the arm lengths, the way each carries themselves, the body mechanics, the way they step, the way the arms swing. If it looks and quacks like a duck, chances are it's a dude in a cheap monkey suit. And while Mr. Marx, while he might have meant well, while he might have wanted the world to believe in Bigfoot, he took it too far. He pulled a hoax on us, and that's not cool. And any hoaxes out there, I'm going to bust them. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Special thanks, as always, to my patrons and my YouTube members. Without your monthly support, I would not have the time or resources to make these videos and do all this research. Thank you so much for your generosity. You can be a patron or member too for $1 a month. All right, everybody. Take care.